Isn't this noise really annoying? This is my rooftop air conditioner, and it is so noisy that if we try to watch TV, we basically have to turn it up full blast. And then it only cools our unit down maybe 10 degrees from what the outside temperature is. So if it's 100 outside, we might get the unit inside down to 90, but that's the best it does. So it's time for a change. How about a new mini split? Hi everyone, this is David with Tigner Adventures, and today's adventure is kind of exciting because you know, this AC unit on the roof is just so noisy. And if you watched my other video about my that we installed a max air fan, we actually, in this video here, we actually took out our air conditioner in our bedroom and we replaced it with a fan, and that has been so nice because we just turned on really low at night and it just blows cool air in at night. It works really, really nice. But hey, you know, in Arizona, it does get a little bit warm, and we try to go to places that are cool, but not always do we get to go there. So a lot of times it might be kind of hot. So anyway, so this is Tigner Adventures, and my name's David, my wife Ninette, and our little cat Tansy. We live full time in our rig, and we need to have it so that it's cool, especially for Tansy. She really does not like it above 80 degrees in the rig, and actually, secret here, Ninette doesn't either. So anyway, so we're going to make a little change here, and we're going to install this mini split. I just barely ordered this from Home Depot, so you can see here on the page that this is what it looks like. You've seen other people put mini splits in and everything, so we talked to a few friends that have them. They love them, and so we're going to do the same thing now. So that is our adventure in this video. We're going to take out eventually this unit, but we're going to take out our big generator, and we're going to put our new mini split will go where the generator is now. So the mini split's made up into two pieces. So you have the head unit and then you have the compressor. So we're going to put the compressor down where the generator is right now, and then we're going to put the head unit up here in you know, above our door. So the first thing I got to do is we're going to have to take out this section up here. That's where the mini split head will sit, and you'll notice that I've got some electrical up there, so I'm going to have to move that stuff. And on the left is a switch I use for my LEDs outside that I installed underneath my awning. And I'm going to actually see if I can get a wire from up there down to this switch down here, because I need to move it down there out of the way of where the air conditioner will be. And that 2 switch on top that's got the little light there, I'm going to swap that out for a 3-position box like the one below, and then that way I can get all 3 switches in, or 3 items in the same spot, and eliminate the one up on top. And then I'm also going to swap out my 2 outside lights with these new switches that I picked up that actually have an LED built into them, so that when they're on they'll show bright red. That way I don't leave them on all night. Okay, I have pulled off that top cabinet, and I have pulled off my switches to look at the wiring. It's kind of interesting. If you notice here, there's some holes in the wall, and this is the back side of the cabinet, and so there's 4 screws that were screwed from the outside part of the wall into here. So they actually attached this to the wall before they set the wall up there, and then they screwed some screws in on the side here into the other cabinets. So kind of interesting how they put things together, but it was a little bit of a chore getting it out of there because of these screws that are in there. Alright, so this is what I have now. I have cut the wires off, so if you look way up into here you can see, yep, a bunch of cut off wires. As far as I can tell, I'm not using any of them. We'll find out. But I'm actually going to pull them out. I'll show you here in a sec where I'm going to pull them out. But I've also mapped out the actual main struts that go down next to each door side.
and then also the frame going across there, so I can actually put a piece of wood up here and screw it to that frame so that it's nice and sturdy. The head unit's not that heavy, but just want to make sure it don't fall off the wall. And then if I go down here, it's kind of dark, but this was a little cover here, so that was over this. That's all the wire coming down into this conduit, and so I've got to pull on each one of those to pull out the cut ones. Well, you can see here that I have pulled them out, and if you look, like right here, where's that at? There's black all over this wire. It's from tape, but because I pulled each one of these individually, they actually came out pretty easy because they are in this conduit. There's one of these that's going up the wall, so they came out really easy. So I'm just going to do the same and pull these out down in the compartment below, and then I can go ahead and put that cover back on. And I am looking in the underneath compartment. These actually go straight up into that little corner piece that I was showing you. This is actually a conduit. I pulled it apart down here, and I was able to pull out each one of these wires individually. This is my water compartment, and that conduit goes way back over there and out underneath the frame of the motorhome. So my guess is that part of these wires are going to the propane tank, which is just to the left of this, and the other ones are going across over to the battery bank, which is almost straight across. So I'll just continue pulling out all the extra wires to get back to their origination points, and then at that point I'm ready to start refeeding them. But for now, I'm just going to coil them all up and just leave them right here until we get the mini split installed. And now we are ready to put the little pieces of wood and stuff back into those locations. That's all it is a piece of wood with some insulation on it, and then those pieces of paper up there are kind of like a vapor barrier, but really it's more or less a cover, so that just kind of sticks there like that. And our little piece just goes right back up in there. All set. I'll put the board over that, and so you won't see any of that stuff, and it'll still stay all covered up, and that's where the head unit will mount. Alright, you can see I have put back all the pieces that I cut out, and I'm going to use these big screws. They're actually 2.5 inches long. They're self-tapping, which makes the job a lot easier. And so I'm going to use those to actually mount this board up here. What I wanted to do is countersink the screws so that when I put the air conditioner on there, the heads of the bolts or screws aren't in my way. That board is not going anywhere. So we are ready for the next step, and that's getting the mini split itself. Well, hey everybody, it is finally here. We have got a notice right here from Home Depot that our mini split has now been delivered. This has been just an ordeal, and you know, I don't understand, you know, but I ordered it online on, I got my laptop here, I'll just check, on June 26th, all right, and we were in Oregon for that whole month after that, and I ordered it specifically so that it would be in Oregon where there's no taxes, and we were going to be there, so it's like, hey, why not save the extra $100? And you know, it was supposed to be delivered on July 7th. Well, it actually got delivered on August 22nd, and we had left Oregon by that time. So it took that long, but hey, I'll tell you, Home Depot was quick to take my money, and they would not cancel the order until it got delivered, and it just sat on a truck in Portland for the longest time, and then it finally got delivered. And so then I called him and said, hey, just cancel that order because I'm not there. I'm now in Idaho, and I'm not going to drive all the way back to Oregon to get it. And so then I reordered it, let's see, on August 14th, all right, and then it came, it was supposed to be here it was supposed to be here by the 22nd of August, and
it didn't come either, but you know, now I'm into it. By this time I'm into it 2 payments, all right, and they still haven't canceled my other order. So I finally got the September 17th is when I finally got the second order, all right. So their little ordering system, I mean, it promises these dates and then it just keeps pushing them back, and so it was really annoying. And now it's September 11th and it's finally showed up. So anyway, so good news, it's here. I'm still working with Home Depot to get my refund from my original order. So you know, they just haven't been that easy to work with. And you know, even though the customer service people are nice and everything, they just really don't care. And when it's online, it has nothing to do with their store, and they just say, you know, if you have any issues, call online. I tried calling online and I said I had an issue with my order, and it hung up on me just like that, and I've never been able to get back in. So it's just really bad. So it's the times, I guess. You know, that's just how things are. Customer service has gone down the tubes on a lot of things, and so I should have probably ordered this through Amazon. I would have been much happier, but I didn't. I decided to go with Home Depot because it was local, and that's what I got. So anyway, good news is it's here. We're heading out the door to go to Home Depot to pick up the new mini split. Well, we're now at Home Depot and we are going to go in and get this mini split. So exciting. I can't wait. It's been so long. Well, I have it. It's in the back seat. I'm so excited. And it actually doesn't weigh very much. So it'll be kind of nice to get rid of some of the weight on the motorhome. And so now we are going to head back and get things prepared for this to be installed. All right, so here is the air conditioner. I've taken it out of the car. I've started unboxing it. This is the control line. So they give you all the wiring for it, plus it's got tubing in here too. And then this big box over here is actually the compressor. So this little box here, it only weighs like 15 pounds or maybe 20 at the most, is the head unit that actually mounts up above, that's going to mount up above my door. This unit over here, the compressor, is going to mount in where my generator is currently. So we're going to go ahead and remove the generator and get that all out of there and cleaned up, and probably have to do some little changes in the framing work that's in there just to make it so that this will mount in there, but this is where this will go. And so this comes with 16 feet of copper tubing. And then I've also purchased another 25 feet of copper tubing. And it's going to be completely wireless, so we'll be able to monitor our temperature even though when we're gone. We'll be able to start it up, stop it, whatever the case may be, and so we can keep Tansy nice and comfortable when we're out checking things out or places that we don't take her with us. Now I have it pretty easy here because my brother-in-law, who I'm helping with their new house right now, used to do heating and air conditioning, so he's got a lot of these tools already that I need, and he's got the expertise. So I shouldn't say a lot of, he's got everything. So this will make the job really easy. I think I've showed you this, but just in case I haven't, I'm going to show you again. But this is the part that's going to mount on that big white board that's up there now. And this will mount on there, get screwed down a bunch of times to make sure that the mini split is secure. And basically what it does is it hooks into these hooks right up here at the top and then snaps into the bottom, and that's what actually holds the actual mini split on the wall. We are looking at the back side of the mini split. And if you notice, I've cut this insulation off of the tubing, and they've got some nice stuff around the tubing to protect it. It's also to help it when you're bending it that you don't kink it. Now, in our particular case, what we need to do is we need to come out this side. So you notice that by default they are coming out. If I was facing this up on the wall, they'd be coming out on the left side, but we want to come out on our right side and go through our little wall and have it so that it goes down the inside wall next to our table and goes outside that way. So we have to actually take these tubes, and that's why I've kind of opened it up here so I can keep an eye on it,
And we have to bend these around this way so they're coming out. In our case, when we're facing it, we'll be coming out the right side. So that is delicate work, and copper tubing is pretty easy to bend, but they call it work hardening. And so when you bend it too much, the copper tubing, you're working the tubing too much, it hardens and then it cracks. And then you get little leaks, micro leaks in it. And so you want to make sure what you're doing is what you want to do the first time. Now, they've already bent it one way, so it's already had some work done on it, and we have to take it and bend it the other way. And so what we're going to do is to actually take this. So let's show this first piece right here. It's coming down here and going this way. I do not want to take this and rotate it around because I'll twist it up in here and kink it or whatever might happen. So I'm actually lifting this up. I'm going to actually pull this around this way to make it so it's straight, and then continue on until it's pointing out the opposite direction of what it's going right now. So that's what we're going to do, and we'll see how that all works. So we have to do it with that one. We have the little one under here. Get that one out of here. We got to do it with that one. This is 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch tubing, and then we have this thing here, which is not a big deal. This is just a tube, and this is the condensation tube. So this is no big deal. It'll just kind of twist around and go out this other side with no issues. So we're going to start with it first. It's easy. And then we're going to do the 1/4 inch tubing, get it around, and then we're going to do the 3/8. But before we start that, we have to open up this one side. I'm going to use a little oscillating cutter with a nice little cutting blade on it, and we're just going to cut. So there it comes. We've got the little knockout out of there. So we've got that all cut out of there and all cleaned up nice. We are ready to move these tubes. So got insulation stuff on everything, so it's hard to see what everything is, but I'm just going to kind of rotate this around to this side. Now, this is the condensation thing. So this dehumidifies the air, so very handy when you're in a humid climate, and all that water comes through this little white tube, and then it's going to turn and go outside, or down the wall and drip outside. So we got that out of the way. Now the next thing we got to do is we're just going to move this up here out of the way so we can kind of see what's going on. I'm going to move that up. Alright, so I'm going to take this tube and very gently, hopefully, pull that around and bend it out the other side. Now it just says to gently do that, so I'm just going to kind of do it very slowly. Again, I don't want it getting too hard or brittle or kinking it, or there's lots of things that can go wrong when you're dealing with copper tubing. And so I kind of bring it right out this other side. All right, well, there is the first one down, and as far as I know, it's good. So now we've got the bigger tubing. So I'm going to do the same thing with it. This is actually pretty stiff on this bend, so a little worried about that. But we'll just keep working it around. That takes a little bit of energy, so we're still working it around. But I can feel that this part right here is definitely a lot harder than out here. So where they've already bent it once, they've definitely made that bend there, and I don't know, it's just a lot harder. So I'm kind of concerned about that.
we'll see where we get here. Oh, man, that doesn't want to bend right there though. Kind of down where we want. You can see where that other bend was. It's pretty straight there, and that's pretty tough. It doesn't want to bend right there. So, but I don't see any kinks. So I'm going to push that down a little bit, and so hopefully that'll be good right there. So I'm going to take this and put that back around there. I'm putting that insulation back. I'm going to put this little piece back in here. It just kind of snapped in there before. So I'm going to just stick that back in and kind of snap that in to make sure that holds that nice and sturdy. And I think we're okay on that. So now this unit here is where we're at, and we have that through there. So we're taking up this whole space that they gave us here. And when it goes through, remember, I don't have a lot of space here, so not when on that white board. So it's gonna go through the wall, which is about 1 inch thick, and then this is gonna have to turn and go down. Okay, you can see that I have now mounted the holder for the mini split right here, and it's actually going to the refrigeration things, and the drains tubes are going to go out right here. And so I've got this mounted. I'm now going to use this 2.5 inch hole saw drill, and I'm going to drill right through here, and I have to drill it at just a slight angle, so it's supposed to be like 1/4 inch lower on that side than it is on this side, just so that the drain, when it gets condensation, it drains, it can actually drain out. It doesn't want any places where it's going to be going up and pooling the water. Okay, so you can see I've drilled that hole, and it's going through this wall, and actually if I pan around here you can kind of see that that is almost even with this cabinet. And you can see I've drilled a hole here underneath so that the cables just come straight down through here now. Alright, you can see I have brought the head unit of the mini split in here now, and I have wired the control cable up to it, so you can see here in the diagram here how I've wired it. And then I've actually just ran the wires through the back here, and then I've taken this tape, it's just plastic tape, it's not sticky or anything, but I've just wrapped it around all the pipe here and the control wire, which is right here. So it's interesting how when you have a problem, you know, your brain is always working even when you're sleeping. So I woke up in the middle of the night or had a dream, and it's like, this is how this is supposed to go through this hole. This will make this so much easier since the pipe is already bent. The idea was I wanted to come down the back side of this wall, and I was trying to figure out how I'm going to slide that unit in this way and turn the pipe down there. But you know, it's already bent, so I'm just going to put the unit up sideways here, push it in. So the first thing I got to do is put this control wire through here, and I'm actually going to take this out and slide this all the way into up the mini split. It's only about 15-20 pounds, so it's not too difficult to maneuver. So I'll pull that cable through. And because I'm coming in this way right here, you can see the unit is just on its side right here. So I was making this out to be a lot harder than it ended up going to be. So anyway, we got to get this stuff down through this hole. I'm going to slide this around here. There. So it's hanging on the top up here, on that little lever. I'm going to push this into where it's going to go. Like that.
once you actually set it up there, you can actually move it back and forth a little bit on that support also. So I'm just going to kind of center it up a little bit and snap it down. Alright, it's in there nice and tight. Our little grommet is over here against the wall where it's supposed to be. Alright, that's looking setting in there perfect. And it's coming down over here under that hole up there in the cabinet, and it's going to go down behind my chair right in that corner.
So that part's done. Now we just have to work on getting the compressor and the tubing and wiring installed.
So this is the generator compartment on my motorhome, and you can see that I have taken off the door, and I have also started removing the bolts that hold it in. There's actually only 4 bolts, and then there's the exhaust. So you can see the exhaust is underneath there, and I've sprayed some PB Blaster on it because it's all rusted. I'm trying not to break the bolts, taking that off, but might have to. But anyway, I'm going to remove that, and then the generator should just slide out a little ways, and I can actually get to all the wiring. Well, the generator is gone, and we've got it out. So I've just got the battery cable, the ground cable, and a control cable, and the gas line. So I'm actually going to use the rubber gas line. I'm going to redirect it to a little pump so I can fill up my little generator that I purchased whenever I want to out of my big tank. For now, we're just cleaning up. Get it all ready for the air conditioner to go in. On the back side of that, if I look in there, now that I've taken everything out, I can see in there, I can see my gas tank. So let me go show you the actual AC unit and the bracing metal that I found. Alright, so here is the unit that we've got to install, and here is some extra metal I found, and so I'm just going to build this bracing. Basically, it will set in that compartment across like this, and the feet on this unit will just mount on here. And there's these little rubber things that sit in here on both sides where it bolts into this. This is nice because it is actually open here, so I can actually get a bolt through there. And once I weld this up, it'll be pretty sturdy. So it should work out pretty nice. I'm pretty excited about it. And this is just scrap metal that I found laying around. Looks good. That's the first stage. We got to go fit it to the rig now and weld it into the rig. That'll be a little bit harder. All right. So, if we come out open here, and so the idea is these are going to go into this angle iron. I'm going to cut these old braces out of here, and we're going to just set this up in here. There is no play at all. It fits in there snug as a bug. So that'll fit there like that. So that's dropping this bracing right here down by about 3-4 inches so that my unit can sit in there and have a little clearance on the top. So if you look here, this is the one wheel, or one anchor is going to be right here. The other one's going to be back over here. So I have to clean this one out the most so the other one will fit in there perfectly. I mentioned to you when I was showing you this compartment, look, I can see my gas tank. So it's like I've been assured that all I need to do is just block it so sparks don't go flying back there, but
hopefully I'm not going to blow up. So anyway, I put this big piece of cardboard in there, and it's all blocked and everything. I'm going to cut these supports out so I can weld these other ones in. And so it should go pretty easy. And anyway, that's what I am working on right now. So let's get cutting. Partway through that one. So you can see we got the little bars cut out that were in there, and I have put the new pieces in, and this one here has been tacked into place, so it's right where it's going to be, and it measures out in the correct spot as far as from the front to there, and then also it's level on the side and the front by moving this little level around. So that part's done, and now I just got to do this side here, make sure everything's good, just being tacked, and if it is, then I can go ahead and just weld everything and be done with it. Alright, I've got my braces in here now, and it's ready to go. It's all leveled up where it needs to be. So before I actually put the unit here though, my clearance here is only 37 inches, and it actually wants a foot on this side. I don't have a foot over here, so this is a pretty efficient unit, but every little shortcut that I take basically is cutting down on that efficiency. This is one of those. It's supposed to have 12 inches in the back, which is not an issue, and lots of stuff out here. That's not an issue because I'm going to open this door up and it's got plenty out this way. But this way over here, I've only got about 8-9 inches instead of 12, and so I'm going to position the unit here so that the refrigerant lines are pretty close to that wall right there. And so since that is right behind my tag axle, what I'm actually going to do is take my tag axle off, and then I'm going to cut out a piece of that area right there that will give me access to the refrigerant lines when I need to connect them up. And so that's the part that I need to work on now. But everything else is done. I started also wire brushing it. I'm going to paint it. I've got some undercoating spray here that I like to spray on all the areas that I see that are gathering rust. I spray this. It's kind of a rubberized material, black material. And I'm going to spray that on everything, and that helps protect that quite a bit. That panel that I cut out there, I'll keep that, and I'm going to build it so that I can kind of put it back into place when I'm done, because otherwise all the junk from the wheels when I'm driving are going to be going into this compartment. I don't want that either. So anyway, I'll put that all back on there, screw it in, it'll be all there, and if I ever have to, then it's a great access panel. Alright, so you can see I have the unit all painted here, and I've sprayed some undercoat underneath, and I'll do a little bit more because I've got to cut out this access panel right there. And so if I pan over here to the right, you'll see that I have pulled the tag axle off, and now it gives me access to this whole area. And so I do have this mud flap right here, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a hole right through the mud flap and take that little piece of the mud flap off so that when I put it back in, everything will just be back to normal again. According to specs, you know, you're supposed to have 2 feet on the right side of the unit, and basically that's so that you can get into it and service it. In my particular case, I have 1 inch. So I have to cut the wall out, and then I can just lift that out of there. I'll have access to it. Gives me my 2 feet, or at least something like that. And then I'll be able to get all the piping done, check it for leaks and things like that, and be able to service it from that little access panel. So I think that'll work out really good. Alright, so I have cut the hole for the access from that tag side wheel into the compartment, and I've ran the control wire, which is 25 feet, and I ran it all the way down underneath everything.
where the copper tubing can fit. You can see my black tank hangs down right there. So let me show you the other side where everything is coming through. This is the front of the engine side, and so I'm going to just run the cable or the copper tubing kind of on the back side of that wiring right there, and it will come out and follow where this control cable goes now up into the house. This is the copper tubing, and so we've got to bend that out. You can see it's a big roll right now, and we've got to roll this out. So we don't want to just take the ends and just pull it. We actually have to unroll it, and it does say, please note that you can only bend this about 3 times at any one spot. So to make sure and spread your bends out throughout the tubing. So this side of the tubing right here, the little guy, which is a 1/4 inch tubing, is shorter than the, I think it's 5/16, and that matches up with what's in my coming down from my mini split head unit down towards this hole. And so I'm just going to push this up through there, and that will connect there, and then the straight piece will kind of meander back there and come out the back side over there by where the compressor is going to actually be. So to start out with, I want to straighten this out the best that I can, and then I will go from there as far as actually starting to feed it through. Okay, so we have the copper tubing run from the front to the back here now, and it is going to come over to this area here, so it's pretty close to where it needs to be. Alright, so you can see I've got the pipe in here. You can see this one's a lot longer than this one, and if you look back in here, I can't really see too good, but the big one is shorter up here and longer, the little one's longer, so that matches this combination. So we're going to hook those together. This is our drain tube, and our drain tube is just kind of hanging out right there. So we need to, according to the setup here, we need to put some Teflon tape around the other piece that this slips onto and slide it on there. So I went ahead and connected these connections together. You can see this is my copper tubing coming in from down below, and all I did is just line it up here and here and put those on, and basically you just hand tighten them and then just snug them up with a wrench is all you're actually doing. Also going to put on some of this stuff, which is flare connector. So basically we just put that in around the inside of the flare on the tubing on the outside of the copper piece. I did put a little bit of WD-40 around the outside of the copper where the ring goes up there, just to make it so that it doesn't catch on the copper while I'm tightening it up. And so that is all done. This is our control cable coming in here. Back here is our tubing, that's our drain, and you can see where I put the Teflon tape. I slid that on there, and now I'm going to use this pipe insulation stuff. It's split here, or can be split anyway, and you just wrap it around that tubing all the way down to the floor, and that's supposed to help keep it so that it doesn't get condensation build up in the tube, something like that. So anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and put that on, and then the next step will be wrapping this tubing with the wrap that we have wrapped up here already. So I have it all wrapped up, and it is going down through the floor. So one thing I wanted to mention is that I still have, this is pretty loose here. I can actually undo this and get access to those two connections right there. When I took those connections apart, took the caps off to begin with, there was a lot of pressure in the head unit. So it's nitrogen, it's pressurized so that you know, they know there's no leaks. And so anyway, I took that off and then I put those together. When I actually pressurized the system, I can come over here and I can double check to make sure I don't have any leaks. I'm pretty sure I don't, but if I wanted to, I could spray some soapy water on them just to see if I have anything, and if I need to, I can tighten that up just a little bit more. That takes care of the inside right here. I brought out this unit that's actually going to go in. So this is the outside unit. It's going to go in there. It has these little rubber, they're vibration dampening rubber feet that will go on the bottom of the unit. And so what I need to do is I need to set this unit in there, drill the holes through that metal that I put in there, and bolt them down. But before I do that, I need to hook up my wiring here. This is my control cable from the inside unit, and then I got to hook up an electrical box here, and then I'm going to get some more of this cable that's, in this case, this is 12.2, it's for 20 amp circuit, so 12.2 with ground is for enough thickness. This is only 16 gauge, so this doesn't work for the AC wiring, so I got to go to the store and get some 12.2 with ground. I'll hook it onto here in a box that's up here, and it will come around and hook into this other side. So I want to get both these wires all hooked in here and this plate on there before I actually set this unit up inside here, because I'm not going to have access. There's only like this much room on the top area there, and I didn't want to cut another big hole, so it's not something I've got to get into at this point. So if I ever have to, then I guess I'll have to unhook the refrigerant lines or just move the unit somehow to get to it. But for now, this will work just fine as long as I wire them the correct way the first time, and that's always good. Alright, I got my wire. This is it's a 12.3 wire, so it's got 3 conductors because we are running 110 volts. So this becomes the hot, this is the common, and the ground. And so we have it listed here as L, N, and then we got a little ground screw right here. And so L is line, which is the black, and then the N is neutral, which is the white. So I've actually separated these wires out just a little bit. I have a little tool here from Lowe's that grabs the wire and it pushes the insulation out. And all I'm going to do is I want to keep that insulation on there somewhat. So I'm just going to kind of work its way out here. I'm just going to twist that around the terminal and screw it on, and the insulation on the outside here plus the insulation here helps keeping all the copper together so that it doesn't flare out so bad. So that's so we're going to go ahead and wire that, and then we will be wiring this. I'll show you how we wired it inside. They got numbers here. It says 1, 2, 3, and then ground. Green's always ground, so we know that that's our ground, and then we know that 1, 2, and 3 are here, and there's a 1, 2, and 3 on the other unit. It says that the colors don't matter as much as the numbers. So we'll look and see how I put the colors on the numbers in there, and then we'll use those same colors on the numbers out here, and then it will be all wired. It does go through these little holders here, and it also goes through our little cap. So this has a little thing here, so these will go through there like that, so that they are in a waterproof setup here. So we'll go ahead and put this all together, and then we're going to take it at that point and set it inside the compartment where it's going to go, because we need to put these feet underneath it and then mark where we're going to need to drill holes. And so that way I can get the holes drilled. I can kind of slide this back and forth because I got plenty of play in there. I can drill the holes, pull it back, and all the wires will be on there. This plate will be mounted there like that, and then it'll be watertight right here for this orange cable. I like black, but all they had was orange at Ace Hardware. So, and then this cable will go on the other side. So anyway, we're gonna get working on this wiring. Alright, so you can see here on this picture that I have of the mini split inside that it's the 1, 2, 3 has red, black, white. So if we look here on the outside unit now, I have red, black, white for 1, 2, 3. I also have my line and neutral set up on the right there, And so I just need to put the cover on there and I can go ahead and set the unit inside. If you look through my little access panel I've cut in the side of my wheel well here, you can see that I've connected the pipes from the other end of the tubing. So I've only actually got 2 connections that it kind of ended up. What I did was, so I didn't have to splice and all that kind of stuff, is I actually ran the tubing over to the other side of the vehicle and kind of back. And so I used up all the excess so that I didn't have to cut it or anything like that. And then this little thing here is what we are connecting the gauges to, and this is what we're connecting our vacuum pump to. One thing I want to make a note of is that standard housing units use a 1/4 inch connector there. Mini splits use 5/16. So I did have to go buy that little adapter right there. It cost me $8. Went from 5/16 to 1/4. And part of the deal with that is not just a standard little brass adapter. It actually has, it's like your little valve stem on your tires for your bike, right? You push it when you want to put air into it. There's got to be something that pushes down as the air goes in. Same thing here. There's a little thing inside this that pushes on the little valve stem that's inside this so that the air can go back and forth. And so now we are ready to actually do a vacuum. All right, our vacuum pump's running. We're opening this valve here. That's actually sucking all the air that's in the lines, which isn't a lot. And you can see that we are -30 right now, which is the bottom of the gauge. Let that run for at least 30 minutes, maybe an hour. And what the vacuum does is it takes the air out of the pipe, and if there's any moisture in the pipe, then that water boils. So it boils all that water and moisture out of the pipe. And there's no moisture in the system at all. And we have a vacuum on the system that pulls all that Freon in that we're going to release here in just a little bit. We're testing for leaks because it should just hold that, and when we're done we can just shut it off the vacuum and just turn it on. It should just stay at that 30, and we can let that sit for however long you want. Just the same method that you do for just redoing if you replace a air conditioner compressor on your car. So it's kind of the same thing. The fittings are different, so you can't just go to AutoZone and rent a gauge system and have it work on your mini split. However, the vacuum pump probably would work, if you could get enough adapters to make it work. But anyway, that's just so you know. All right, so according to the book, I always read instructions, right? You should run this at least 15 minutes to vacuum the system. I've been actually doing other things. I tied everything up and all that, so it's actually been a little over an hour. So what I'm supposed to do now is we're going to close this low connection here, and it's reading 30, -30, so I'm closing that. And I'm going to go ahead and unplug this, and then we're going to let this sit for 5 minutes, see if there's a leak or not. Well, I am still at a -30, and what I need to do now is open this valve with a hex wrench. And what that's going to do is it's going to release the Freon into this line that's vacuumed right now. And it says do that for about 5 seconds or so, and then shut it off, and my pressure meter should show a positive pressure. So the reason for that is then I'll go ahead and remove this valve, or this hose, and the little Schrader valve that's in here is depressed right now. And so if I do it with the vacuum on there and I start taking this off, it's like your tire on your bike tire. If the valve stem's pressed, then you lose air. In this case, there's vacuum in here, so if I start to take it off and that's depressed, it's going to start sucking air back in there again that I don't want in the system. So I want to create a pressure in here. So when I undo this, it'll push some of the Freon out as I take that off as quick as I can. And that way no crap gets pulled into the system, and that's what causes systems to fail, is when you pull the oxygen and the moisture back into the system, and that's what we're going to avoid by doing that. All right, so I left that open for about 5 seconds. It's closed now. We have a positive pressure on there. It's not negative 30 anymore, so we've got about 70 pounds in there. So now I'm going to go ahead and take off this blue line. So you heard that come out of there. And because this is a regular residential unit, it's all quarter, we're going to take off the extra fitting now too. Alright, so this is the little adapter I was telling you about. These are for mini splits. So interesting, I don't know why they don't make them the same size, but that was $8, so well worth it. And it has a little thing inside, so it's a little easier to see on this one. It's got a thing right here that when you screw it down, it pushes that little valve stem in, and that's so you can't just buy an adapter to go from quarter to 5/16. You have to actually buy one that's got the little valve in it also. So when you screw this one in, it pushes that one. So, all right, so our gauges are unhooked. We're done. Now it says we just open both valves up all the way until they stop. All right, so I've gone ahead and put the little caps back on, and we got them all snugged up so they don't fall off. The only real key one is this one here, is our service port. That's got that little Schrader valve, which is like a little valve stem on a bike tire. We don't want things getting in that or pushing it, or that's how air could get into the system. These are just kind of covers for those other valves, but we'll put all that back on, and we are done installing the actual mini split. All right, so I have opened up this box that I have where the wires are coming out with the red pigtails on. Little wire nuts there, and that goes from the circuit breaker up to that box, and from that box to the AC unit that's up front. The wire that is right there, I need to swap out with the AC going up on top wire with this wire, which actually runs down to my generator. All right, that's all changed around, and cover back on, and we're all done. We're ready to turn the power on to the mini split. All right, this is the big moment. The mini split is all installed, and we just got to go turn on the power. I'm just pulling out the remote. It does have a test thing to go through to make sure everything works, and part of that requires the remote. So I'll go ahead and get the remote done, and we'll go turn on the power, and we'll see what happens. The last part of the book is the test run. So it says only do this if you've got your electrical done, you've checked for gas leaks, and you've opened the valve, and we've done all that. So that's cool. So the test run is should be performed for 30 minutes. Connect power to the unit, press the on-off button on the remote controller to turn it on. Press the mode button and scroll down through cool, heat, and let each function run for 5 minutes. So we're going to do that and enjoy our mini split. So can you hear that? Not really. That is the mini split running, and it is actually running in heat mode right now. It is morning time. I did all the test things. You had to go through each little piece, and I did all that. Everything passed fine. I double checked for leaks, so I sprayed some soapy water on everything, and there's no leaks. And the reason I did that was because when you are in cooling mode, the little 1/4 inch line gets up to about 300 pounds of pressure, so just having it sit there, it doesn't have as much pressure as when it's running. So I checked it when it was actually running, and things were pretty good.
but it is quiet. And you can have the TV on, you can talk normal, way different than our old AC unit that's on the roof. So that will be going away. Alright, so the unit is in, and you can see I got my jacket on because it's kind of cold. That's why I have the heater on this morning. But this is the unit running, and in talking to my brother-in-law, I guess if it's really cold out, or really hot or something like that, this might be a little bit louder, but it's, in fact, it just cut down again, so it's just not very loud. So this is going to be pretty nice. So now the question is, I have this open, and I had a couple different ideas about this. So I either get to some place and I open this up and I can run it, or if I was to put this down, and I got to get some new little hydraulic things there because those are wore out. But I'm also thinking about just drilling holes, rows and rows of holes, kind of like what you see when you buy look at a grate. That's why I kind of got the idea. Just kind of offset holes, 1/2-inch holes all the way down this panel, enough to let air through, but still have some structure integrity. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think I should drill holes in there? Or the other thing I thought about doing is just having something fabricated here where it looked like this, but I just screwed it in and it just stayed so it was always open. Then that way you could run it anytime also. So that's kind of the dilemma now, but as it sits, it's complete. It works, it runs, it heats, and it cools. It's nice. So I think we're successful. So a little bit of a project, a few things to do here and there, but actually, when I look back on it, of course, hindsight's better than anything, right? It actually was pretty simple to do. One thing I would give you a tip on is, how I said I opened up the tubing all the way and then I pushed the straight line back around? That, I think, was the hard way. Because if I would have just because I had to go that elbow up inside the motorhome. So if I would have just opened up the tubing to that point and did that elbow going up in, put that in, and then just undo the tubing as I was going back, there was plenty of room to slide that along their back, and I could have just rolled it out as I went. I think that would have been a lot easier. So that's pretty good. So, but other than that, I did get it in there. I did get it all tied up, and it's all solid. I did put this little block back in down here, and and then I've sprayed the black tar stuff on it so to kind of seal it. So I think we're pretty good that way, and I'm pretty excited about it. I have ran this for a few hours now, and I'm running on batteries right now, so I'm running off my inverter, so it's working very well. And it draws about anywhere from, my amp meter inside goes anywhere from 8 amps up to 11 amps, and I don't know if there's something else kicking in there other than that, and that's why it's going up to 11. But my brother-in-law says that it should run the same amperage whether it's cooling or it's heating. It's going to basically be the same. Unless you put it into turbo mode, it could kick on a strip. I haven't tried that yet, but there is a little heating strip that says, hey, I got to hurry up. Otherwise, what it's doing is on heat mode, it actually runs the compressor backwards, and instead of pulling the heat out of the air and putting cold out, it runs the other way around, so it's pulling the cold out and putting the heat out. So that's what they call it for the heat pump. So anyway, works really nice, and it doesn't use very much power. So anywhere, it says that the max draw is somewhere around 6 amps. So with all my other stuff running is why that amp meter kind of changes and stuff. But works very, very nice on a 3,000 watt inverter, and probably worked a lot just fine on a smaller one too. So so anyway, we'll just kind of keep working with it, and we'll keep trying it out and seeing how things work. But so far we are completely pleased with it because it is so quiet and works nice. So anyway, so that ends this video, and hopefully this will maybe inspire you to do the same thing, or maybe you'll look at it and go, that looks like too much work and I'm not going to do it. I don't know, but at least it'll give you some things to think about, and you can check it out. So thanks for joining us on this adventure. Like we said before, all adventures aren't necessarily always fun. This one wasn't bad, but it still work. And so anyway, it's done, and we can move on to the next adventure. So anyway, come join us if you can, and you know, let us know. You know, make sure that you subscribe to our channel if you like what kind of content that we're actually putting out, and give us a thumbs up. You know, that is always nice. And then of course make some comments. Let me know what you think about that door, and what you think about the overall, you know, setup, and would you do this? You know, is this something that you might consider doing? I'll tell you, so far, I mean, I love it. I mean, there's no drawbacks that I can see, and it's much, much better than the roof AC unit that we have up there right now. Thanks for joining us on this video, and we'll hope to see you down the road, and maybe we'll be on our next video. Take care.